G'day, welcome to another episode of Cooking with Trent. Today we're going to be making plasticine icing flowers. You can make pretty much any flower. You can make, roses, carnations, daisies. Today we're just going to be making a simple one, which is the rose here. So we need some very specialised plasticine icing tools. We've got some toothpicks, a little container of water, couple of knives, 6-inch piece of broomstick. We've got our food colourings, and these are food colourings that can be brought in pretty much any shop, and we've got some plasticine icing. Okay, so we've got our plasticine icing. All we're going to do is cut off a small amount. It does dry out really quickly, so try not to work with too much at once. Now I've got some red dye, some yellow dye, some blue dye, some brown dye. I'm just going to use a tiny bit of the red dye. So just go a little bit at a time, like literally a couple of drops at a time. You can wear gloves when you're mixing in the food colour if you like. Okay, so we've got a little bit of our dough, a little bit of our plasticine icing, and a couple of drops of food colouring. And all we're going to gently do is just massage that food colouring. So that colour's just about all mixed in. You'll notice there's still a little bit of marbling there. So I'll just give that a tiny bit more of a mix. Okay, so our colour's all mixed in. And we've just gone for a very light pastel pink. The pastel colours seem to work the best, and they sort of seem to be the most authentic. It's hard to get those deep, rich reds, but certainly the pale pinks, the yellows, those sort of hues work really well. Okay, so I've got my plasticine icing, and all I'm going to do, to make a rose, each rose, you don't really need that much, so I'll just take as much as I need for the single rose. Really doesn't like the hot weather, so if you've got somewhere nice and cool, even if it's in the lounge room sitting in front of the TV, because it does take a little bit, by all means do it in there. So the first thing we're going to do is we have to make the stamen, and this is the base of the flower. This is what gives it its form. So we roll a ball, and then in between our two palms we'll just roll it together to form a teardrop shape. Okay, so that's the base, and to that we need to add the petals. And for a standard size rose, sort of one of those roses, we're looking at probably 8 to 10 petals. So we're going to roll our plasticine icing out into a bit of a cylinder. This just ensures that when you cut it, the petals are roughly the same size. They don't have to be exactly the same. So I'm just going to cut some little pieces. I couldn't even tell you the grammage on those. They're probably only maybe 4 or 5 gram. Not very big at all. So I've got 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. Like I said, don't be too worried about the sizes. You don't want it to look like something that's come out of a packet. A lot of the plasticine icing flowers, are made with sort of stamps and cutouts and things, but they all end up looking a bit the same, and they look like something that's just been brought off eBay, knocked together in a little sweatshop in the backwaters of China somewhere. And it's nice if they do look individual. So I'm just going to roll my 10 little pieces into a little ball, and again, they don't have to be exact by any means. What I will do after I've rolled them, I'll tend to use the smaller ones in the middle and the ones that roll out that bit larger on the outside. The same as if it would be on a real rose. Okay, so I've got my 10 or so balls. Okay, easy as. Just give them a little bit of separation on the paper so they don't run into each other. Okay, another piece of greaseproof on the top, and just gently press them down. And all that does is just hold them in place while you're rolling them. Okay, then I'm getting my little piece of broomstick. I mean, you can buy, a small rolling pin for this. I'm going to roll it one way. Now you do want them fairly thin. You want to be able to achieve that on the edge of the petals. You want them to be sort of fairly lifelike. So the thinner that you can roll them, the more you can achieve that, that delicate petal sort of look. Okay, and then I roll them back the other way. So I'm ending up with sort of a very rough oval kind of shape, but not really worried too much. Okay, now I'll just peel off the greaseproof. Okay, there's my petals. Once you first roll them out, they are a little bit wet, a little bit tacky, so I just tend to give them maybe 4 or 5 minutes just to dry slightly. They make them easier to handle. So we'll just give that some time-lapse photography here. Okay, so it's this easy. I'm going to take one of my smaller petals, and to get them off the greaseproof, you can just put a knife under the edge and lift them up. Okay. Then all we're going to do is basically wind it round that first bit we started. Okay, so can you see? And then from then on we're basically just repeating the process. So I'm taking some of my other petals, okay, and the trick is to sort of form them and join them more at the base and the top of the petal. Okay, this is important so we can ever so gently just draw those petals out a bit. Okay, you're mimicking a rose opening. And again, we're just going to repeat the process. I need like a hand double to do this. So just keep forming it around the base. Okay, so there we have it. It takes about 10 minutes and there's our plasticine icing rose. Well, thanks for joining us for another episode of Cooking with Trent, and be sure to check out some of the other shows on Geraldton Digital Television, and until next time, happy cooking!